Hello, hi, I missed you all so much. Welcome back everybody to yet another episode, another cooking stream of the Daily Cooking Show. That was a little bit redundant, I apologize. That was not the smoothest opening I've ever done. Hello, it's good to see all of you. Hello to Moonhun, hello to Dosky. We saw Eliam in chat. Hello to OMG Pete. Hello to Soup, all the people that I've remembered. Hello to Blobfish as well. Welcome on in. Hello to Moonhun. Is this a new lighting? Oh, does it look different? Tell me if it looks different. Is it like bad? Okay. Anyhow, lighting on point. Whoa! Is the lighting better? I wasn't aware of that. Okay, I think we fixed a few things. Hello to Doctors at World, or Doters at World. Welcome on. Hello, hello, hello. It's good to have all of you. And also hello to your ears perked up. And hello to John Dahlia. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to have all of you. It's a lovely little Sunday afternoon. I know this is a little bit earlier of a stream than usual. If you're currently watching this live, it is 1 p.m. My hair is all over the place. It is currently 1 p.m. Eastern time if you're watching this live. And if you're watching it back on another time, well, that's good too. More red tones. Okay. Do we like the camera change? Do we not like it? Is it a little too warm? I don't know if we have any lighting experts in chat. I was not aware that it was so warm today. I didn't know what my thing was so warm today. Tarina Chess, well, good luck on the road today. It's nice. Okay, great. Happy to hear it. October's brain, it's also good to see you as well. I quite like the warmth of it as well, I think, for my display, but we'll do a little bit of analysis later on. And also, hello to Osmaniac. Do a backflip. Osmaniac, I am incapable of doing so. Okay, everybody. So, are you ready for a little rundown on what we are going to do today? Is everybody ready for it? I want to hear a nice yes, chef from everybody in chat. Please and thank you. And we'll get into what we're doing today. I'm waiting. Yes, there we go. Perfect. People are now starting to flood in. People are waking up a little bit. It's a little bit earlier than usual. Okay, everybody, so welcome on in. We're going to be doing today a dish that is really, really special for me. This is a dish that I used to eat with somebody quite a bit before whenever I would be visiting Florida. This is a Cuban dish. We'll be doing a little something today called the Ropa Vieja. And it's one that I'm really, really excited about. And also, Osmaniac, thank you so much for the Prime sub. It's very appreciated. So, Ropa Vieja, everybody. This is a braised and shredded flank steak, specifically flank steak. Okay? And it's done in a broth. It's done with some wine. It's done with some bell peppers and onions and a couple of spices. And so, I want to talk about this really quickly. How many of you have heard in cooking, how many of you have heard this idea in cooking that, oh, you have to braise fatty meat? You have to braise tough, fatty meat. You have to braise briskets and chuck and all these other different cuts and steaks you should never overcook. How many of you have heard this? Yes, everybody, right? This is a saying that people have just been sort of spouting around the food world in the especially in like the online food content sphere. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something right now. This dish is really, really cool. It's really special because it is living proof that you do not need fatty or like super, like tendony or like super collagen or connective tissue filled meat in order to braise and shred it. People say, oh, if you have lean meat, you can't braise it, you can't shred it, it's just gonna get dry. What about shredded chicken breasts? What about, of course, Ropa Vieja and in the case of flank steak specifically? My friends, this is something that is incredibly slept on. Incredibly slept on. The texture of a braised lean meat, something like a flank steak, especially with the grain of it, and I'm going to show you the grain of it. It can be super toothsome. It has such a pleasant chew to it, and it's not going to be dry because it's going to get shredded, okay? And then it's going to get combined with all of that delicious cooking liquid. Okay, think of a shredded chicken breast. Think of a shredded chicken breast. You might think it's dry, but you create all these little pockets for, like, let's say you're doing a chicken salad to fill into, or if you're doing something like a tinga for like the salsa to fill into. Okay, and so my friends, you can braise lean meats. That is what I want to show today with this dish. It is a very beautiful dish. It's super delicious, and the texture of it is something really, really special. It's intentionally a little bit toothsome. It's intentionally a little bit chewy. Okay, it's not supposed to melt in your mouth, but it's not supposed to be so tough that you can't chew on it either. And I'll show you and talk to you all about that. Okay, so the next important component of Ropa Vieja, my friends, is going to be the bell peppers. We have a bunch of these beautiful, gorgeous red bell peppers. Okay, we also have some celery that the beef is going to cook with later on. So we have all these lovely little bell peppers. We're going to slice them up. They're going to cook in a little bit as well. We're going to be doing this in both a Dutch oven and a pressure cooker for ease of access, just to make things a little bit quicker today. The next, I consider essential component, my friends, These bad boys right here. You know what this is? This is an olive. Okay, in fact, I'm gonna have a little olive snack right now. Just one. I've been saying just one for the last few days. Oh. I got the pit out. My friends, I love olives to death. These, I got in my local Turkish store. These are really, really special. These are dehydrated olives that are reconstituted in olive oil. Traditionally, you'd use like pimento stuffed olives. But basically for this dish, I find that you can use any kind of olive. They kind of get samey when they cook down that much. This is a really, really delicious Turkish olive though. I love it. It's really, really yummy. Everybody, I want to tell you something right now. A lot of people hate olives. This is maybe one of the most controversial. Jack, you said it looked like Jamie Oliver in this? I didn't know Jamie Oliver was trans and Jewish. But my friends, so when it comes to olives, people say they hate olives. People say that olives suck. Okay, people either love them or they hate them. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The people that hate olives, I promise you, there's so many really, really delicious varieties of olives out there. Yes, I indeed am, ethnically. There's a lot of really delicious varieties of olives out there. The people that typically say they hate olives, they're thinking of the black canned olives that they usually get on top of a pizza or something. Oh, that was celery. That was celery. We'll get to it in a second to bio. So I feel like a lot of people in the United States specifically, we grew up eating really, really awful olives. Okay, but go to an Eastern European store. Go to, if you have like a Turkish store available near you, I promise you, or you just find something with an olive oil. There's a beautiful selection of things to try. There's so many delicious varieties of olives out there. Okay, good eats episode on olives? I have not quite. Okay, those like canned olives, like the black canned olives, they're inedible. I hate those things to death. They're so bitter and unpleasant, and they don't have to be that way. They can be salty and briny and a little bit acidic, and in this case, full of olive oil. My friends, experiment with olives. What kind do I suggest? So, I love these. These are dehydrated olives reconstituted in olive oil. I don't have a name for them. I'm also not the best with olive names off the top of my head, but there's a very nice Serious Eats article on varieties of olives. Okay, let's keep moving. So, I have some tomatoes. These tomatoes, we're going to, guess what? We're going to char them. We're going to make a beautiful little tomato sauce out of it, and then we're going to cook it down. Okay, instead of using like some canned tomatoes, I love doing the charred tomatoes, so we get some really nice smokiness, even if it's not traditional. Then, my friends, we have some red wine. Traditionally, you would use some white wine. Okay, but in this case, I just had some red wine, so that's what we're going to use up today. It does not matter, aside from aesthetic reasons. It's just going to stain the whole thing a little bit red, but in terms of cooking, red and white wine, they're just going to be the same. Okay, sweet. And then, my friends, let's talk about the spices. We have 3 different kinds of spices today. First, the classic, the traditional, we have some cumin, beautiful whole cumin seeds. Then we have some oregano leaves. And then finally, my friends, a little something called pimento. A little bit of ground pimento. This is really funky stuff. You don't want to use too much of it. Okay, otherwise it can really overpower the dish, but just a little bit will go a long way. It's going to give the whole thing a little bit of oomph, right? You smell it and it's just like, it's almost like very festive like. Shocked, what is it drinking? Oh, I'm drinking some water. Oh, that's some wine, that's right. But yes, pimento is also called allspice, I believe. I believe allspice and pimento are interchangeable names. Okay, so that's how you would typically find it. Allspice is not a seasoning blend, it is just a type of like little tiny peppercorn, I believe. It's just a spice. It's called allspice, it's called pimento. It's just one spice, it's not multiple. It's a bit of a confusing thing to a lot of people. They think allspice is like a spice blend. Okay, additionally, we have some onions, because you can't really cook without onions, my friends. Okay. We have some garlic, we have some tomato paste, and without further ado, my friends, are we ready? Also, welcome on in to Baran. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, I believe pimento and allspice is the same. Please Google it. Please fact check me on that. So, my friends, let's have a little sip of water. Is everybody ready for the stream today? Is everybody ready? Here's the order of operations. First up, I'm going to show you the beautiful chicken stock that I made before the stream. We're going to strain it out. We're going to sear the meat. We're going to separately braise the meat from everything else because we want to time everything alongside the stream. Ooh, okay, thank you so much for stopping by, Val. Lovely to have you. Also, welcome on in, Boris. So yeah, we're gonna sear the meat. We're gonna braise the meat separately in my pressure cooker. Traditionally, you would do it all in like 1 or 2 different pots. But we're doing it in the pressure cooker just to save a little bit of time. And we'll do all the prep. And it's gonna be a really simple stream. It's not gonna be too much effort today. And everybody, once again, housekeeping. You know, I'm trying to keep these streams free for everybody. Try to keep this content free for everybody to be able to watch on Twitch and then on YouTube as well. If you can, if you're financially able to do so, any amount of support helps. Specifically Patreon. You can type in ! Patreon in chat, which I will do for you right now. ! Patreon. If you can, I'm trying to get enough of the Patreon to be able to fund the grocery cost of the streams. And then I'm also going to be making some new equipment purchases. My friends, we're going to be doing some really, really cool stuff. I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some big upgrades, specifically with the overhead camera. So I've started the planning for that. It's going to be another like $1,000 investment or so. Any and all support is appreciated. Donations and tips as well. You can type an ! Tip. Or subscribe, because again, I want to keep this free for everybody, and if you can't support it, it will be really appreciated. Okay, also, if you haven't joined the community Discord, my friends, this is the open public Discord for everybody that is here in chat at the moment. You can go ahead and join that now. That's how you can get you know, up to date on the streams and anything else going on. And also, Jack, I don't really keep up with Joshua Weissman. And without further ado, my friends, I believe that we can begin. So first and foremost, I want to just go to the stove really quickly. I want to go to the stove. And so, you may notice that I have this pot of mysterious liquid. I have this pot of mysterious fluid. Okay? So this, my friends, this is some homemade chicken stock that I made. This is something that I will talk about over and over and over again. Get into the habit. That's you. I'm talking about you. Get into the habit of working with whole chickens. Get into the habit of doing whole chickens, my friends. Because let me tell you right now, when you work with whole chickens, you get a beautiful byproduct in the form of all the chicken bones. You get the chicken carcass, you get all the different cuts of meat, you're saving a little bit of money, and all of those beautiful bones, you're then able to make an incredible stock. You don't have to do this with a pressure cooker. I do it with a pressure cooker to make my life a little bit easier. Okay, but yes, Smoky the Pan, I do indeed have a Patreon. So, I made a lovely little chicken stock in the pressure cooker, just high pressure with all the chicken bones, and I'll show you my broken down chicken pieces. Okay. So this I'm going to be probably using for Wednesday stream, 5 p.m. Eastern time, okay? But I broke down an entire chicken. We usually do this on stream. I did it beforehand just so that we had it ready, okay? And Jack, I'm not gonna explain how we do that because I have a bunch of like whole chicken demonstrations. Anytime I've done a chicken dish on the stream, I've broken down a whole chicken, okay? So that'll be for another time that we'll use that. But now, we have this beautiful rich stock. My friends, the #1 way to level up and upgrade your home cooking is to get into the habit of using homemade stock. Homemade stock and box stock are 2 completely different ballparks. Box stock, just to tell you right now, is to me inedible. If you have to use some sort of an instant stock, I'm not an elitist, I would use something like this. Okay, this is powdered chicken bouillon. I would use some instant powdered chicken bouillon, or I would use better than bouillon. Otherwise, I make all of my stocks homemade at home myself. Boxed chicken stock is not only ridiculously expensive for what it is, they're selling you mostly water. It's a super diluted product. It's the biggest scam. In fact, that is the issue with capitalism and convenience culture. Despite the fact that concentrates exist, things like the better than bouillon, things like the powdered chicken stock, right? Despite stuff like that exists, boxed chicken stock is extremely diluted and they're making so much money off of it and it barely tastes like chicken at all. It barely tastes like meat. It just has that weird canned, tinned flavor. Okay, so my friends, all I did, that's right, also welcome on in, Star Fox Freshman, hello. All we did, we broke down a whole chicken, we threw in the wings, we threw in the carcass, and we made a beautiful stock. A beautiful, delicious, rich stock, my friends. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm gonna show you this bad boy. Nice and golden, nice and delicious. Okay. And now we have to go ahead and take all those bones out. We're gonna discard the bones. We can strain this out as well if you would like. And then this is the pot we're actually going to be braising the meat in. Okay, so let's get a little bit of space. Let's get a little station set up in order to do all of that. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just gonna grab a nice big plate. We're gonna grab some tongs and we're just gonna go, in fact, not tongs. I think I'm just going to use my spider for this. Okay. We're going to just fish out, and I also had an onion in here and some bay leaves as well, just for a little bit of aroma. Right? You can use vegetable scraps for this. It's a very nice way to use up old stuff like that. I'm using my spider, one of my favorite kitchen tools, just to fish out all of the big bones. Okay? And all of this has now already used up. It's been used up, my friends. All of the flavor is essentially gone from the bones. You don't really have to pick the meat off of it or anything. Okay? It's done its job for us. So in here I had the chicken wings. You don't have to use the wings. And then I had like the rest of the carcass. I had an onion, I had some bay leaves, and then I had some black peppercorns. Okay? So let's get the rest of that out. Lovely. Just seeing if there's anything else left inside that I left behind. I see some more bones. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother straining this out to make it like not cloudy or anything. I don't really care about it that much. You know, it's just a very simple chicken stock. Let's not overcomplicate things. I'm just fishing out any chunks, any little bones, because we don't want that to end up in the final dish. Okay? That's it. Super simple. Almost done, my friends? Okay, lovely. I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside, and we're gonna go ahead and let that cool off. Yes, everybody, we thank the carcass for its full use. Everybody, please say thank you, Mr. Carcass. In chat, I expect that. I want to see it happening right now. Okay, and now we have a beautiful pot of this homemade chicken stock, nice and glossy, nice and gelatinous, nice and fatty. Thank you, Mr. Carcass. Perfect. There you go. Lovely. And also, by the way, everybody, once again, for anybody that is new here, I am here to help teach you how to cook. If you have any questions whatsoever, I will display it on the screen if it's a nice big question, and I will answer it to the best of my abilities. Okay? So any questions at all during the process, there is no such thing as a bad question. I'm here to help you learn how to cook. Okay, I am going to go ahead and set this bad boy aside, and I'm just going to let that cool down enough until I can comfortably throw it all away. Okay? Six, 7, or 6, 8. I'm 7'2". I hope that helps. Okay, next, I'm going to set this pot aside. We're gonna move it aside. This pan I washed off before the stream. I'm just gonna move that up here. That's done its job for us. Okay. I will set up my Dutch oven, my friends. How long do you keep stock in the fridge? Really good question. I believe it's good practice not to do it for more than like 5 days or so, like 3 days. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, that's what I usually do. And if I make a really huge batch, I always freeze it. In fact, what's really, really nice to do if you'd really like, I make a super concentrated stock, I boil it down, and then I put it into like an ice cube tray. I put it into an ice cube tray, and it's a really nice thing to do with it. Okay. Wait. I thought I heard footsteps. Okay, never mind. Okay, hi. So, my friends, this is my lovely little Dutch oven. This is my lovely little Le Creuset Dutch oven, and I'm calling it little just for the comedic effect of it at the moment. Now, traditionally, you wouldn't do a dish like Ropa Vieja in a pressure cooker. You wouldn't do it in an Instant Pot. What we're going to do is we're going to sear the meat separately, okay? And then we're going to add it to the pressure cook to let it braise. So, my friends, let's talk about the function. Let's talk about the function really quickly of why we're going to sear the meat. Sharpen my knives like Gordon Ramsay. What do you mean sharpen my knives like him? Okay. And no, that's Natalie in the background still. Okay, so, my friends, let's talk about the function of actually searing it. So we're not just going to boil the meat. We're not just going to braise it, although that would be perfectly acceptable. We're first going to give it some color in the pan. We're first going to brown it really, really nicely. Okay? We're going to give it a nice, good crust that way. And so why do we do that? Well, simply put, even though this is kind of glorified to death in the online food content scene, but it is very much so real, you know, brown food tastes good. Right, the Maillard reaction, as much as I hate using that term, creates a good amount of flavor. We're going to create two things. We're going to create some browning on the meat itself before it actually braises. Okay, and we're also going to develop a little bit of what is called fond. We're going to get some stuck protein bits on the bottom of the Dutch oven that are then going to essentially get deglazed, meaning they're going to get scraped up and reduced and dissolved back in some liquid. Okay, because think about it this way: meat, specifically, you know, any kind of meat, it's carrying myoglobin in its sort of like intramuscular liquid. That protein ends up sort of coming out in any sort of like expelled water. Right? Meat expels water as it cooks, the water evaporates, and then those proteins stick to the bottom. Okay, so yeah, You've asked me, why do I hate using that term? Absolutely. As Star Fox Freshman said, it is absolutely over-repeated. It is overused. People throw around mild reaction left and right. Okay? They throw around mild reaction left and right and all over the place. People say emulsified all over the place. These words have such a nasty negative connotation because I've seen them be used to death in the food content sphere. Okay, and I don't think it's particularly relevant because it's a little bit too micro. The thing to remember is browned things taste better. Okay, things that are caramelized, things that are cooked, things that are actually seared, it's just gonna taste better. Okay, so you should do cooking classes. Zeno, what do you think this is? This is a cooking class for everybody watching. That's exactly what I want to do. And specifically, the reason I love doing this is because it's free. It's free for everybody to watch. And I don't actually want to do paid cooking classes. I've realized this was an initial goal. I don't think I want to do paid cooking classes because I want to make my information and my knowledge accessible to everybody watching. Okay? So, let's continue with the cooking, my friends. Let's head to the overhead camera really quickly. So, this is my flank steak. Happy to help. In the meantime, I'm going to be preheating my Dutch oven. In fact, I'm going to show you that right now. Before we talk about the flank steak, let's talk about my Dutch oven really quickly. So, my friends, number one mistake that people make when it comes to the Dutch ovens, they blast it with high heat. Second mistake, they use metal tools. Third mistake, they don't put something in the pan beforehand. You need oil, you need water when you're heating this up. You just need it. It is not an option not to have that. And I'm going to tell you why. This is an enameled Dutch oven. It's enameled, meaning there is that sort of non-stick glass coating that they've created on it. Okay? Oh, yeah, Achilles, that did indeed happen. So, if you were to heat this up without anything inside of it, you're going to be over time damaging that non-stick coating on the Dutch oven. It remains really, really nicely non-stick as long as you give it the proper care and the proper attention that it needs. Okay? You want to be nice and patient with it. You want to be nice and patient. Also, welcome on in, Blue Streak Sonic. So we don't blast it with the heat. We're treating this just like a non-stick pan, and we're heating it up with the oil, and we don't use metal tools on it. I see people use metal whisks on it. I see people use metal tongs. Enough. Treat this thing well, and it will last you a lifetime. This I've been using actively since the summer. This is a fairly new Dutch oven, and it's perfect. It is perfect. Okay. And yes, Achilles, this is indeed a lesson. Essentially, right? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We have this beautiful flank steak, and I want you all to see something. Everybody, I want to debunk this nonsensical cooking notion that you need fatty or specifically meat that is filled with connective tissue, and that's only good for braising. Flank steak is also really nice for braising. It's not a matter of this is what you do and this is what you don't do. You build an understanding of the rules and what happens in the kitchen, and then you're able to break them. And this is one of those conventional things that we're breaking. This is flank steak. Okay, I want you to notice something. Do you guys see the grains? Do you all see these grains? This is the grain of the muscle fiber. Okay, they're all pointing in this direction. I had this big old flank steak and I divided it into 3 portions, just so it's going to be a little bit easier to maneuver. So this is the way that the meat is actually going to shred, and you can already kind of shred it in its raw state, but you want to think about the size of the meat fibers that you want. Okay? Because we're going to end up shredding it parallel to the grain of it, okay? And basically as long as these chunks are, it's going to be as long as the actual shred is. I like big, chewy shreds. It's a really, really delicious product. It's really delicious and it's toothsome. It's not going to be melt in your mouth and it completely evaporates like, let's say, a chuck would. But this has plenty of its own merit in the kitchen, my friends. Okay? It's really special stuff. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to lay this out nice and flat on my plate, and we're going to hit this with a bunch of salt. Okay? We're going to season this up really, really nicely. You can do this in advance. I find that for braised things, especially shredded things, it does not particularly matter to season things too far in advance. Right? You can get a dry brine effect, but it's still going to be shredded, it's still going to be salted, it's still going to be fully seasoned, so don't you worry about that. Okay, actually, I should have put that glove on my dominant hand, on my actual other hand, excuse me, because I like using my dominant hand to season things. This is some kosher salt. Why do we use kosher salt, specifically diamond crystal kosher salt? Because you can easily pick it up with your hands. Generously season this. This is a thick steak of meat, my friends. Thick steak. You want to season this up really, really nicely. You can do this in advance. You can do this just before. For this dish, it does not particularly matter. If I'm doing a steak, I love seasoning it in advance just to make sure the salt fully penetrates. Yes, Jack, that would be my other hand. Okay. So we're seasoning this up super, super generously. We want to cover this thing with salt. Okay, I'm going to grab my silicone tongs, silicone, because that's what we'll be using actually on the Dutch oven physically. How much did this amount of beef run me? This was 1.5 pounds of flank steak at around $9.99 a pound. So this was about $15 a flank steak. That's going to, in total, make, this is easily 4 to 5 portions of Ropa Vieja after. Okay. So, next batch. Other side. Yeah, I love my local Chinese grocery store. That's where I get all sorts of different meat, a lot cheaper than big supermarkets, and I get much better cuts. I get to get, like, guys, flank steak is becoming uncommon to find, right? Or like in big supermarkets, you're only getting like a very tiny piece of it. So I'm actually pretty happy with the amount that I paid for it, although once upon a time it was a lot cheaper. Okay. A lot of salt, my friends. I mean, I'm truly serious when I say you cannot over-season things at this stage, right? It's a thick steak. You want enough salt to be able to compensate for the actual width of it, for the actual girth of it. Okay, so once again, we have peanut oil heating up, okay, at the moment. And now you might be asking me, oh, Daramgar, why peanut oil? Can I get somebody in chat to please say, oh, Daramgar, why peanut oil? Please, I'm begging you. Somebody. Natalie, can you please say, oh, Daramgar, why peanut oil? Thank you. So we're using peanut oil because it's really nice for high temperature cooking. I also love the taste of peanut oil compared to things like canola oil and vegetable oil. I find that it has a little bit less of like a gasoline taste. I don't know why, but I associate canola oil and vegetable oil with a very slightly gasoline taste. So I use it all the time. You know, when I started getting into like more like Sichuanese cooking, I use like a bunch of peanut oil, and now I basically use this in everything. It is my ideal frying oil, my high temperature oil. This is the one that I have. This is the one that I'm basically pivoting to most of the time. If not peanut oil, I'm using olive oil or avocado oil or something. But in this case, we want a neutral oil. We don't want olive oil because we don't really want a strong taste of the oil, and the olive oil would not really be in context of what we're making. So we're getting this oil. I'm gonna, just to make sure that this is evenly heating, right? Because my stove is like slightly tilted. I'm just going to be giving this a little rotation. And we wanna get that oil nice and hot, my friends, okay? Oil is starting to shimmer. We're going to push it past the point of shimmering, and we're going to get some slight smoke out of it, okay? Some slight smoke. And then we're going to add the beef in, and we're gonna get a nice crust. Now, I wanna keep something in mind. Not only are we paying attention to the crust, but we're also going to be looking at the bottom of the Dutch oven. If the bottom of the Dutch oven starts looking a little bit too dark, if we're starting to see a little bit too much fond developed, we might pull off the meat a little bit early and compromise on the flavor. The reason for this is because we don't want the fond to get too dark. Otherwise, everything else is going to taste really burnt. All that fond, all those little burnt bits on the bottom, they're going to dissolve into the whole stew, and they're going to give the whole thing an acrid, burnt taste. Okay? We're heating this up on a medium. My friends, you do this on a high heat. You do this on a high heat and your Dutch oven will not heat evenly. Low and slow is the way to go. People complain about cast iron not being an even conductor of heat because this is enameled cast iron, and that's not true. You just heated it up a little bit too fast. I promise you, just take longer, use a medium heat, and you will have less cold zones, you'll have less hot zones, it will be nice and evenly heated. If it's not enameled, what you can do is if it's like a raw cast iron piece of metal, you can heat it up in your oven instead if you would like, but stoves, they do tend to cause a couple of hot spots, okay? So, in this case, my friends, medium heat, we're looking at it, we're looking to get some nice smoking developed, which is going to tell us that the oil is properly heated. And then we're going to sear the meat, and we're going to get some good color on it. Is everybody following thus far? Does everybody understand? That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, yes, chef, please and thank you. I love sunflower seed oil. I grew up with it because Russians love sunflower seed oil. Also, thank you, Natalie. Russians do love sunflower seed oil. We would use it in salads especially. I mean, it would be used all over the place. I believe, yeah, also like, I believe like food from like Uzbekistan and like Georgia, the country that is, uses a lot of sunflower seed oil. But yeah, we grew up like putting sunflower seed oil and lots of it in like salads, right? Okay, guess what? My oil is now beginning to smoke. We don't want like super smoke, right? Again, we don't want to scorch the bottom of this pan. We're gonna distribute the oil one more time because again, my stove is like slightly tilted. So I have to do this every so often. Okay, so just move that around really quickly. I am indeed Russian. It was my first language. My family's Russian, well, specifically half Russian and half Ukrainian. Okay, and we're going to try our best to nestle all of this steak in nicely and get a nice proper seal on it, my friends. Okay. So my friends, guess what? We have this meat going. We have it searing away perfectly on the stove. Okay. We have the flank steak going. And again, we're not looking for it to be like think of like a finished steak. We're not looking for it to have like a super deep crust on it, because again, we're just paying attention to the bottom of the pan. If the bottom of the pan doesn't look too burnt, right? Especially, we have to distribute oil once every so often like this. Then we can really, really push it, and if not, we don't really have the privilege of pushing it too much. Okay, my friends, next. Here's what you need to do when it comes to actually searing anything. If you want an even crust, how many times, I have a question for all of you right now. How many times have you tried to make a steak at home, and then you flipped it over, and then you realized, well, you know, my crust here looks really good. My crust here looks burnt. And then my crust here looks non-existent. How many times has that happened to you? Okay, all the time? Perfect. Let me tell you why. It has nothing to do with the temperature. It has nothing to do with how long you cooked it on that side either. The reality is, when you put something hot, when you take, something cold onto a hot pan, you're going to naturally develop cold zones and hot zones. The sides, the parts of this that are empty on the Dutch oven are the hottest part of it. The part that is coming into contact with the meat is undergoing also simultaneously evaporative cooling as water is coming out. What you need to do is every so often, just move it around. Just take this, give it a rotation, and put it onto a different side of the pan. Another thing that you can do, so this happens for two reasons. It's because of the cool zones that develop in your pot, and the second reason is because your meat buckles. When your meat buckles like this, look at all of this space. If that's the case, and if you feel like your meat is buckling, that's where I would recommend getting a weight. You can do either something like really, really heavy, you can just do like a proper like bacon press or something, but all we're doing is every so often, we're taking it and we're like, okay, great, we're gonna put you back on a new, fresh, hot zone now, okay? But yes, this happens through both buckling and because of hot and cool zones, okay? Happens for those two reasons. So we're keeping it going, we're keeping it frying, we're keeping it searing, we develop some good color, my friends. It has nothing to do with how long you cooked it. It has nothing to do with the temperature at which you cooked it either, okay? It is purely for those two reasons. And in fact, nobody talks about this. You know what bothers me? Let me tell you what bothers me right now. This is an idea pushed by Mr. Gordon Ramsay himself. This is old school content chef steak theory. You know what they say? Flip it once and don't touch it when you put it in a pan. Absolutely nonsense. Absolutely nonsensical. That does not make any sense whatsoever. If you flip a steak, let's say we're doing a steak only once. You flip it only once, you're gonna get a bullseye effect. The outside is gonna be overcooked and the inside is going to be where you want it. With the steak, you wanna flip it fairly often, maybe like every minute or so. In fact, we're not doing that here because we're not cooking it like a steak, we're going to shred it and braise it down, okay? But do not believe that old school nonsensical cooking content theory that is based off of nothing. It's because somebody said it one day. Just flip it once and only once and don't touch the meat once it goes in the pan until you're ready to flip it. It's bullshit, okay? All right, I'm gonna have a sip of water. Also, Star Fox Freshman asked me, let's put this question up. This is a really good question. So, you've asked me, what are the doneness indicators? So, normally, because this is going to be a braised piece of meat, we don't actually care about any doneness indicators other than the color on the outside of the steak. If you just wanted to cook up a piece of flank steak for yourself, I like a nice 120 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside. That's my doneness indicator. You're looking at the way the meat buckles. Once water starts pooling on top of it, you know that it's like 140 degrees on the inside. okay? Because that's where the meat really starts like squeezing out some of its liquid. You want to kind of go before that point. But in this case, all I care about is the color on it, because this is going to get fully cooked and braised and shredded down, okay? So this is cooked enough on that one side. The bottom of the pan's getting nice and dark. And you can see my crust isn't all that good because the meat ended up buckling. The flank steak buckled, and that's okay. We're looking through both the crust and the browning on the meat itself and in the pan simultaneously. So don't worry about it, don't sweat it. But we're getting a nice crust developed, my friends. If you wanted to, again, if I had a weight, I should put some weights on my wish list, by the way, everybody. Plugging my wish list really quickly. Actually, it's already up in chat. Go to throne.com/Daramgar. You know, I'm just trying to get some nice stuff. Anyhow, for the stream, of course, and for my kitchen. Some toys to play with. What's it like in there? What are you asking? You're asking about what's it like in a Dutch oven? God, being a steak and getting seared in a Dutch oven must feel so good. It must feel so damn good. Okay. So, again, my friends, we're paying attention, not just on the color of the steak, but at the color of the fond. And now, I can tell you right now, that fond is getting a little too dark for my taste. We're going to shut off the heat. We're going to shut off the heat. We don't want to push this any further. Okay? We're shutting off the heat right now. I'm going to take this. I'm going to just lift this up. We're going to set it over here. Okay? And now, my friends, this is going to go directly into my chicken stock. Directly into the chicken stock it's going to go. I'm going to pick up the steaks. My beautiful flank steak that's been nicely seasoned with salt. Okay? Directly into my chicken stock. It all goes. And remember, we're saving that pan. We're saving the Dutch oven with all the fond inside of it. We're taking it off the heat to make sure the fond doesn't burn. We're taking the steak, we're throwing it into the Dutch oven with the chicken stock. And then I have 2 things of celery. This is mostly just to flavor it and just to give it a little bit more vegetal taste. We're gonna throw it inside. Ah, I just splashed that on my chest. Oh God, ow. That was pretty warm chicken stock. That was weird. I don't think I've ever had chicken stock there before. That was weird. Okay, so we're throwing in some celery just to give it a little bit more of an aromatic quality, just to give it a little bit of vegetalness. And we're keeping it whole. We're intentionally keeping the celery whole so that we can easily pluck it out. Okay? And that's actually just going to be it. I'm not going to add any additional bay leaves because the stock was made with bay leaves. You can if you really want to. And all I'm going to do now, my friends, we're going to set this to high pressure for 40 minutes. High pressure, 40 minutes. Okay? Jack, yes, it depends. So it's less of a risk of food poisoning and more of a risk of parasites. Wild meat, especially bear, for instance, is oftentimes infected with parasites. Okay? So I'm just gonna make sure that my sides of it are nice and clean. I'm gonna go over to my pressure cooker, my friends, and that's gonna be happening off camera. Pressure cook, we're setting it on high, and we're setting it on 40 minutes. So, my friends, you don't have to do this in a pressure cooker at all. I'm doing this in a pressure cooker and in a Dutch oven because I am doing this in a stream setting. Okay, I'm doing this in a stream setting. And if we were to do everything in a Dutch oven, it's going to take a couple of hours. So this is the method that I developed that works best in a stream setting. Okay. So, what did you say here? Chef, not going to pour the broth. Oh, you've asked me a lovely question. So Slibber asks, Chef, not going to pour the broth in the Dutch oven for 1 to 2 minutes so it can pick up the flavors left in there. We're going to go back to using the Dutch oven. We're going to saute all the vegetables, all the onions, all the bell peppers, and the wine and everything in the Dutch oven. And once the meat is done cooking, we're going to take it out and put it back into the Dutch oven. So we're intentionally keeping this. Do not wash it, do not discard it. And that's why we paid attention to the fond, because all of it is going to get incorporated back into the dish. Everybody, little recap session. All we did, we made a chicken stock, okay? We seared some flank steak in a Dutch oven. We set aside the Dutch oven, we put the flank steak in with the chicken stock, and with some celery, and now it's going on high pressure for 40 minutes. Does anybody have any questions thus far? Any questions whatsoever? And then we're going to proceed with everything else that we have to do today. Sounds good. Happy to hear it. How are you feeling, Chef? I'm feeling pretty good. I'm a little bit tired. I went out yesterday, went out to a little rave with my beautiful woman, and that was fun. But I'm a little tired from it, so I'm like a little black today. I'm a little underslept, but I'm doing the best that we can. Chef, what veggies do we use? Oh, we'll get to it in a second, Jack. You'll see all that. I'm not dismissing you. I'm just saying we're about to get to all of that. Life is so full, Chef. That's right. Okay, so my friends. We're going to now move on to the next phase, which is everything else that we need for the Ropa Vieja today, okay? I'm going to take out a sheet tray. I'm setting the boiler on to high. And now, my friends, guess what? I have a question. What do we do with tomatoes? My friends, I want somebody in chat to say it. What do we do with tomatoes here? What do we do with tomatoes on the stream? Anytime that you've seen me use tomatoes, what do we do with it? We're charring it. That's right, Mmph. We're absolutely charring it. So, my friends, this is my inspiration from Mexican cooking. I take a lot of inspiration from Mexican cooking. It's one of my favorite cuisines. One of my favorite things to do is char the hell out of the tomato skin. Okay? I love to get it burnt. You know why? Because when we puree it, we're going to add such a beautiful smokiness into the entire dish. Okay? I love doing this. I love doing this with Italian food. I love doing this in almost any context that calls for pureed tomatoes. So I love, 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 love doing the charred tomatoes, my friends. Even if it's not traditional, this is a technique that I've really grown to love. I've grown to really fall in love with it. This is Mexican food. This is Cuban food. But even then, it's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, it's not traditional by any means, but it just adds such a special level of flavor that you don't normally get in a home kitchen because you're not really often charring things in a home setting. Okay, so I take a lot of inspiration. And so my cooking, everybody, I want to explain. My cooking fundamentally is really, really simple. I make simple food in terms of the amount of ingredients that I use. I hate overcrowding a dish with a million different ingredients. I hate doing that. But what I love doing is treating every single ingredient with a lot of respect. We're not just boiling the flank steak, we're searing it and then braising it. We don't use a boxed chicken stock, we make a beautiful homemade chicken stock. We're not just pureeing tomatoes, we're making charred tomatoes that then get pureed for a little added level of smokiness. When we have less ingredients, we get to give them all that much more love. Okay? Same idea with polyamory, my friend. Same idea with polyamory. If you have 30 girlfriends, okay, you can't give all of them the attention that you want. But if you have, let's say 3, you have 2 or 3 of those bad boys, guess what? You get to give them a little bit more time, attention, and love. So don't spread yourself too thin, okay? Anyhow, I hope that analogy tracked. So, my friends, let's get on with the tomatoes, shall we? I'm gloving up because tomatoes are acidic, and for my poor, dry, eczema, petite, feminine hands, that acidity is no good. Okay? I'm gloving up, and now I'm taking all my beautiful plum tomatoes. I like using plum tomatoes. My friends, nothing I'm teaching you here is a recipe. I'm just teaching you technique. Use this with whatever tomatoes look best at the store. I gave these a little smell. I gave these a little poke. They felt nice and tender. These are plum tomatoes. And we're a little out of season, so they're a little flavorless, and that's why I like charring them, just to get some more flavor and some more utilization out of it. So, plum tomatoes. Why do I like plum tomatoes? Because they have a lot of flesh. I don't love using vine tomatoes. I don't love using beefsteak, because they tend to be a lot more wet with a lot more seeds. Also, welcome on in, Zumilava. So, I like doing the plum tomatoes. I like how fleshy they are. You can use cherry tomatoes. You can even do this with the beefsteak and vine tomatoes. It's just going to have some more liquid that you're then going to have to cook out. Just use whatever the tomatoes look best, or use some nice canned tomatoes. Although, if you're using canned tomatoes, you can't really char them. So, here's what we're going to do, my friends. First step, we take a tomato. We take one of these bad boys, and we're going to just slice it in half. We're going to slice it in half through the root of the tomato, through the core of the tomato. Okay? Every single one of them. Slicing through the core. And now, my friends, take a look. Take a look at what we're doing. We're going to take a tomato. We're going to take a beautiful plum tomato. And we're going to make a little diagonal incision on either side, and we're going to pop that core out. We're minimizing the waste. We're not losing any flesh that way. And we're throwing it onto the sheet tray with some foil on it. Okay? Nice and simple, my friends. Nice, big, beautiful plum tomatoes. If you're using cherry tomatoes, of course, you don't even have to do this. You can just leave them whole. Okay? Is everybody having a good Sunday, by the way? I'm having a good Sunday. I'm feeling the stream vibes today. It's good to have all of you here. I'm happy to have all of you. Okay? One by one through all of these different tomato halves. Beautiful. In fact, I don't think I'm going to use up all these tomatoes because I feel like with a lot of dishes, people make them a little too tomato heavy. Okay, yes, absolutely, boys. Use some instant bouillon. I love better than bouillon. I would use better than bouillon. Okay, my friends, in fact, I'm not going to use all these tomatoes because I feel like oftentimes, especially when people like make Italian food, they make everything like super like tomato forward and tomato heavy, especially when it comes to like braises, even though this isn't Italian food. I don't want the tomato to be the overpowering component. I want to be able to taste the wine. I want to be able to balance everything. Right, so I'm actually just going to throw these tomatoes back into the fridge. Okay. So my lovely friends, that's you. We have this lovely sheet tray of tomatoes all set up. We don't have to oil it. Don't worry about anything. We're just going to organize it, and we're going to put this under the broiler, and we're going to char those tomato skins. We're going to get it nice and smoky. Under the broiler, or if you're in the EU, you'd probably call this a grill. So under the broiler it goes, high heat, and once again, we don't walk out, things can catch on fire under the broiler. Okay, lovely. My knife I'm going to wipe down because it was just cutting some tomatoes. It was acidic, and this is a carbon steel knife. Okay, and my friends, you've seen us do this a million different times. Okay, you've seen us do that so many different times. We're not gonna stop today. Okay, so next, let's talk about the spices. So while the tomatoes are in the broiler, let's talk about the spices. I'm gonna grab a little spoon. And we need 3 things today. We just need 3 things. We just need 3 spices. Also, oh, Natalie, can you help adjust my hair? My hair is falling in my eyes. Help. Please help me. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's the best sous chef I could ask for. Also, everybody, please say hi to Natalie. Ah, look at that. Everybody's saying hi to you. You know who said hi to you? Jorge, one and only. Yeah. Okay, so, my friends, she plays Melee. Oh, I love women who play Melee. Sorry, enough. So, my friends, into this little container, I love this. This is a little stainless steel condiment bowl. Okay, we're going to do some of the pimento, okay, aka allspice. Really aromatic. This almost reminds me of nutmeg. Right? If you were to give this like a little smell, it reminds me of like nutmeg, it reminds me of cloves, typically like very festive. A little bit goes a long way. So I'm only using like, this isn't like a teaspoon. I'm just using like whatever this, I ended up spilling some because my hand shook. We're using like around like half of this little spoon, okay? So this I'm gonna set aside. This is already ground. Typically I like working with like whole things and then grinding it down myself, but this was already ground. I already had it in stock. It's like a little less flavorful. Okay, next, we have some oregano, my friends. And this I'm gonna just put directly in my mortar and pestle. We work with whole spices here. Directly in my mortar and pestle, I'm gonna do a nice big heaping spoon of some oregano, okay? In it goes, beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and put these bad boys away now. And then we're gonna have 2 more spices, my friends. We're gonna have 2 more spices. Into this cute little teeny tiny pan. Guess what we're doing, my friends? We're gonna be toasting whole spices. We don't toast the oregano, we don't toast the pimento because it's already ground up, but we are going to toast some cumin seeds. Some beautiful little cumin seeds, my friends. 1 big spoon, 2 big spoons. You know what, all of it. You can't have too much cumin. I love cumin to death. I've used up that container of cumin. And then we're also gonna get some black peppercorns. And that's the spices for today, my friends. Some pimento, some black peppercorns. Really simple, really easy, okay? So just tossing those in, not too many. And now we're just gonna go to the stove. We're gonna set the heat on. And now, my friends, as always, as you've seen, we work with whole spices on the stream. We don't mess with pre-ground spices whenever we can. In the case of the pimento, we just kind of had to. Onto the heat. Okay, and all we're going to do is we're going to give this a nice little toast. We want to get it nice, just like slight little wisps of smoke. And we want to bring out some of the warmth in all the cumin, okay? And we put the oregano into the mortar and pestle because we don't need to toast it or anything. And yes, yeah, we're going to get it nice and warm. We're just going to get it nice and warm, my friends. You got it, Jack. Okay? It's not going to take too long. Just some cumin, just some peppercorns, really simple stuff. I got to go buy more cumin after this. Also, thank you, chorizo. So, we're keeping it constantly moving. Why? Well, because we need to make sure that we're evenly conducting the heat all around the seeds. We don't have any oil. We're not frying this in oil. Otherwise, the bottom of this is just going to burn. So we're doing this on a nice dry pan. We keep this basically constantly moving. And we're just getting some slight wisps of smoke. Once it starts smoking, that's when you're good to go. Okay? Just keep it going, my friends. Be nice and patient. Just going to take a few minutes. Nice and easy. And then we're going to check on the tomatoes. Because that's just been going in the broiler all of this time. We work with whole spices here. Okay, we work with whole tomatoes and we char them. We make it really, really special. We grind our own spices here whenever we can. So we're just looking for some slight smoke. Very slight smoke. Almost there, my friends. Does anybody have any questions in the meantime? Anybody want to know anything about myself? About food? There's no such thing as a bad question. Okay? Actually, no, there is, but you guys can take choose your questions wisely. Almost there, my friends. We're almost done. A little bit longer. Any knife recommendations? Ooh, that's a big question. I'm going to tell you. How is the smell in the kitchen right now? Lovely. The smell of the cumin is about to hit us. And guess what? The cumin is now done toasting, along with the black peppercorns. Okay. Let's head back over here. Boop. And I'm just going to throw this in. So yes, Mountain Dewy. You've asked me a lovely question. Let's get to that right now. Mountain Dewy asks me, any knife recommendations, chef? I have one incredible recommendation for you right now. If you're willing to upkeep a carbon steel knife, there's really truly nothing quite like, to me, the Kramer's Willing carbon steel knife. The handle looks bulky, but yet it is incredibly comfortable. It is one of the most comfortable handles for this size I've ever dealt with. I love the Kramer's Willing knife. Love this thing to death. It takes a little bit of upkeep because it's carbon steel. You can't really leave it wet. You can't really leave it with acidic things too long. It's lovely. Love it to death. Okay, my friends, let's go ahead and take a little peek. Let's take a little peek on the tomatoes. Okay, because that's been charring for a little bit now. Let's go ahead and take them out. Let's take a little peek, see how they're doing. Perfect. I want you all to take a look. Look at the char on these tomatoes. That's perfect. We got the skin nicely blackened. We're not looking to really cook it or anything. All we wanted to do was just develop some nice color on it. Oh, and Jack, I would make my hair red. I would do my hair red and black. But I don't want to dye my hair anymore because it's not really good for your hair. So, beautifully cherry tomatoes, and now we're just going to cool them off. Okay, we wanted to get them intentionally a little bit smoky, intentionally a little bit charred. You can even go even further if you would like, but that's okay. So, back to the overhead, my friends. Okay, and now, first step, as always, you guys have seen me do this a million times. We're going to do it again. We first crush all the big peppercorns. We flatten them. Okay. Oh, honey, wait, what time is it? Oh, honey, it's 1:53. It's time for the flattening. Also, I regret nothing. Thank you for the prime sub. Okay, wait, I lost my chat. But yeah, thank you. I got nothing for the sub. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and flatten all of these. And now, once we've done so, we're just looking around, make sure we have no big peppercorns left. We're gonna grind it all down. Oh, actually, we have a few left. There you go. And now, my friends, just nice little rotations. We're going through it all, and we're getting it done. Okay? Nice, fresh, whole toasted spices. That's right, she is. You're absolutely right. Okay. Getting all of it done, my friends. We want a nice fine powder of all of this. Ugh. Grinding it all up. You want a nice fine powder, my friends. And then we'll go ahead and transfer this over to a little condiment bowl. Okay. Oof, is it getting hot in my kitchen? It's getting quite warm in here. Natalie, can you get the AC remote? Thank you. Almost done, my friends. Just keep it going, keep it rotating, keep it happening. And now with cumin, you sometimes get like these little fibers. Those are the ones you really want to make sure that you're crushing down. Also, I'm going to just set my AC really quickly, just to get it a little bit cooler in here. Okay. Almost done, my friends. Just keep it going, keep it grinding. Grind all those little fibers down into a pulp. Not into a pulp. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't think I want to push it anymore. It's not that big of a deal. So we're done with that. And now we're going to just go ahead and scoop this out into the container that holds the pimento. Oh no, my spoon fell. I almost spilled some of the spices on the counter. Okay, that's all done. There we go. And there it is, my friends. This is all the pimento, this is the oregano, and this is the cumin. As a quick little recap, we have accomplished 3 things. Currently in the pressure cooker, my flank steak is cooking. This is the pimento, the oregano, and the cumin that we freshly toasted up alongside some black peppercorns. And we charred the tomatoes, and now we're cooling it down now until it's at a point where we can properly blend it up. Okay, because we want to get like a nice tomato sauce out of it. Okay, next, I'm going to set this behind me. That has outlived its purpose for us. Let's move on to the next step of the operation, which is processing all of these lovely bell peppers. Okay, let's go ahead and take these. I'm going to pick these bad boys up. So we have 4 big old bell peppers, my friends. I'm going to show you exactly how to prep them. So here's what we do. My friends, how many times have you tried to prep a bell pepper where it was like, okay, you're going to cut the top off and then you're going to pull the seeds out and it's a whole mess? Every single time. It's a mess, it's annoying, it's a waste of time. Here's all we do. Here's all we do. We're going to take the bottom of this, we're going to slightly square this off just so it stands up easily. Every time. All we do is we stand it up like that, okay? We look at the folds of it, and we're going to shave down the sides of the bell pepper and keep all the white inside. It's not bitter, it's not spicy or anything on like a plain bell pepper. It's just a little bit fuzzy and the texture is unpleasant. Okay? All we're doing, my friends, is we're shaving down the sides. Shaving down the sides. All the way around. It just comes off really naturally, really, really easily. And then we get all these lovely slices of the bell pepper. Okay? And it's a lot easier when they're like less tall, right? These are kind of like tall, so it's kind of clunky to do it with these. But if they're like kind of like short and stout, right? If they're like a little bit wider, it's easier to do. Okay. All I'm gonna do, once again, my friends, we're just shaving down the sides. Yeah. With these, they're kind of like weird and folded, so it's like a little bit more difficult to do this method. But it's okay. We're still making it happen. Okay, squaring off the bottom once again, just so it stands up really easily for us. And now we're going down the whole thing, following the curvature of the bell pepper. Yeah, this is just a one weird shaped bell pepper. This one's kind of odd. I actually can't really do this method that easily with it. Okay, but we're getting it done nonetheless. Do I really want 4 bell peppers in this, or do I want 3? How am I feeling? I think 4 bell peppers is good. 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 I want 4. I want 4 bell peppers. These are fairly thin, right? It's not that many bell peppers. Spoiling it off. And now just going through it one last time, my friends. Also, bell peppers are like kind of crazy expensive. I have no idea why, but like near me, bell peppers are like $6 a pound. Okay. My friends, look at all these bell peppers that we have here. And all we're going to do is we're going to cut them into nice little sticks. Think about the size that you really want for these. We don't want them too thin because otherwise it's going to break down in the cooking and become like so soft that it becomes mush, right? Also, hi Carol, welcome in. Yeah, it's like a lot. I have no idea why it's that much. I really do not. It is beyond me, it's beyond my comprehension. Okay, so all we're doing, my friends, we're just slicing it down, really nice and simple. We're not keeping it too thin, we're not keeping it too thick either. Okay. Too thick and it's going to just have too much texture. Yeah, no. The lady complaining about $3 bell peppers was not making it up. Green bell peppers are typically very cheap, but the red and yellow ones, they're just so ridiculous. You want some, oh, you like Ropa Vieja? Well, I do. That's right. Okay, got a gun, chef? Okay, thank you for stopping by. It was lovely to have you. And hello to Natalie again. See you later. Thank you for being here. It's always a treat to have you. Okay. We're just going through all of these, my friends. We're just slicing it up into some nice little sticks. No, Jack, you're totally fine. No need to apologize. This is a little bit of the white part. And again, we don't like the white part just because it's like a little fuzzy. It's like a little spongy in texture almost, but it's not like bad or anything in its taste. With only like spicy chilies, it carries like some of the bitterness and it carries like some of the heat. Okay, and that's why you typically avoid it in spicy chilies. Okay. Keep it going. Almost done. We have this big, beautiful plate of bell peppers. Why is my table shaking so much today? What's causing it to shake? Do I have to tighten up the legs again? I think I'm gonna have to like tighten the legs on my table later. Okay, almost done with a big plate of bell peppers. And again, this is pretty fundamental. It's pretty important to Ropa Vieja. Nice and sweet. It's a pretty good bell pepper. $5.99 a pound, you better be. Okay. So my friends, 4 bell peppers. We, once again, we peel, we shave the sides off. Okay, really, really beautiful. And these we're going to saute later on. Next thing that we have to do is we're gonna have to work on the onion. We're just gonna do one big old onion. So, we're cutting the head off of the onion. We're also gonna cut the root end of the onion off as well this time. Cutting the head, we're cutting the root off. Okay? Normally you see me like keep the root on if I want to keep it intact. I'm doing like a minced onion or something. Not in this case though. Okay, all I'm doing is we're cutting it in half so that we can easily peel it up. Okay? Peel it, get rid of all that nasty skin. Almost done. And of course we always have a waste bowl ready when we cook. Right? We just have like this bowl of scraps. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump that out because that got full. Okay, and now let's go ahead and slice these onions. But first, I need a place to put them. I do need a place to put it. What would be a good vessel for this? Yeah, I'm just gonna take this bowl. We're gonna take this bowl, and that's where we're gonna dump these bad boys in. So, my friends, same idea for the onions as the bell peppers. Too thin and it's gonna melt away. Too big and it's not gonna cook in time. We're just cutting it parallel to the grain of the onion, not perpendicularly. We're not making rings, right? We're just slicing down the full length of the onion. And this doesn't have to be too perfect, okay? This does not have to be too perfect. And yes, yeah, red bell pepper scraps, they make everything really nice and red. You just can't like cook it too long. And I feel like they don't add that much flavor, but they do make a pretty color. Okay, all of that onion, that's half of an onion. We're going to just scrape it up and throw it into the bowl. Same with the other half, my friends. That's why I love having a bench scraper on hand always. It's falling off my cutting board. Oh no. Okay, almost done. We're giving a little quarter turn. Jack, that's purely a matter of preference. There is no better or worse option. If you have the ability to dry them like with a dehydrator or something, then go ahead and do that. I just find that I get more utility out of like a red bell pepper sauce than anything else. But okay. So that's all of our onion, just one whole onion. We got it nicely sliced up, nice and easy, nothing too crazy. Okay. Crying a little teeny tiny bit. We're just gonna clean up the cutting board because there's like some onion skins, there's some seeds from the peppers and everything. Is everybody following along so far? Okay, lovely. And now we're going to proceed to the next portion, which is, as always, my friends, I have some lovely garlic. We're going to press the garlic, okay, through a garlic press. First, we're gonna get all the cloves out. I like doing this over a bowl so that any of the dry skins fall off. I want a good amount of garlic cloves, okay? A good amount. You can't have too much garlic. Lovely. And we're gonna throw them down. And all we're gonna do, my friends, we're just gonna take a bench scraper. We're gonna take the bench scraper and we're just gonna flatten them. Just like so. Flatten them so that we can crush it and then peel off the skin nice and easily. I don't like doing this with the side of a knife. I like doing this with a bench scraper. What sort of garlic is that? Jack, I actually have no idea. That I do not know about because I just buy this in the supermarket. No. They're not in this case fuzzini because you would have to then like kind of wash your scraps a little bit. Ideally, you would use these, yes, either for like compost or for like stock, but I really should get into the habit of doing so. It's a little bit wasteful, right? But it's not that big of a deal. But yes, you absolutely can. I would just have like my garlic already be like washed and stuff. And I did not do that because they can be like quite full of dirt on occasion. So we're just peeling this over the bowl. Right, now that we've crushed it, the skins should come off easily if you crush them enough. And if you didn't, they'll be a little bit stuck on, like the other with me. I feel like I always undo crush mine. I could be a little bit more heavy-handed in my crushing, I believe. Okay, just going through these bad boys one by one, popping them out. Ugh. Whew. Almost done. Ah, that little one. Man, that little one's annoying. I'm not even gonna bother with that. Okay, so really simple, my friends. We have all the garlic here. Right, you can take off the dried butts if you want. I don't think it's completely necessary. Now we're going to take a nice, well, not a nice knife. We're actually gonna take the opposite. We're not gonna take that good of a knife. We're going to take a little condiment bowl that we've set aside. And once again, my friends, one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, the garlic press. We use this all the time because I hate chopping garlic. But yeah, Jack, people will either like dehydrate them or use them in stalks. Otherwise, they would just throw them into compost. They would just throw them away. But yeah, you can like burn them and make like like a little burnt like onion powder that like chefs use sometimes. But that's like a little chefy, and I don't think it's a very useful. I don't think it's a practical way of using up the leftovers. Because you only need very little of it, and then you make so many onion skins. I'd rather just use them for compost or something if I built that system up. Okay, all that is done. Let's put that through one more time, just to make sure it's fully pressed. Lovely. Okay, excellent. And that, my friends, is now all of my garlic, and I'm going to quickly rinse this under some water. Just to make sure that there's no dried like garlic stuck in the holes. Because then it becomes impossible after to clean. Ugh. Woof. Okay, everybody, little recap session. We've accomplished quite a few things just now. Okay? First, we have in the pressure cooker going, we have the flank steak with the chicken stock, the homemade chicken stock. Okay? And it's getting really nicely braised and shredded, and we're going to be able to shred it up. Also, hi Rabbit, welcome on in. Then, we made this lovely little spice blend. This is pimento, oregano, freshly toasted cumin, and black peppercorns. We charred some tomatoes. We're about to turn it into a sauce. We have all of these lovely little onions that we just sliced up. Okay. We have these bell peppers that we just, I had some bell peppers fall on the floor. It's fine, 5 seconds. Bell peppers. Okay. We just finished pressing out a bunch of garlic as well. Okay. And the last step that we really need to do is we're going to go ahead and chop up some olives. Okay. We're going to go ahead and process those olives. We're going to press them. We're going to get the pit of the olives out. And then we're going to slice them, and they're going to be added at the end of today's dish. And then we're going to make the tomato sauce, and then we're going to get to sauteing vegetables. Is everybody following along so far? Does everybody understand? You know what I want to hear? You know what I want to hear from all of you right now? Please and thank you. That's right. I saw Natalie just give me a little salute. It was cute. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about my olives really quickly. You can use for this, basically, I feel like you can use whatever kind of olives you want. People will use pimento stuffed olives, or at least Serious Eats does. Okay, I miss the lingo too, Jack, but he'll be here another time. So these are dehydrated Turkish olives that are then reconstituted in olive oil. They're super, super yummy. They're super delicious. I'm just going to dump them all out of my cutting board. I'm going to save this container and put them back inside. And all we're going to do, my friends, is we're just going to go through these bad boys one by one. Okay, we're going to go through these one by one. So some of them still have the stems attached. We're going to make sure that we're plucking off any stems, even if tiny, even the littlest bits of stems. It's kind of annoying that they left them on. Typically, they don't leave them on. Okay, so that's just a few of them. And now all we really need to do for these olives, my friends, we're going to crush them. You can use the side of a knife. You can use, you know, a bench scraper. In fact, I think a bench scraper would be pretty ideal for me. We're going to crush them, and then we're going to take the pit out of all of them. Okay? So once you crush it, you can kind of just, you know what? We can just use a nail. We can use your nails or whatever. We're just going to pop the pit out of each of them and make sure that you have your pile separated. You don't want to miss a single pit. Okay? You will break your tooth on a pit of an olive. If they're already pitted for you, that's great. If not, then you're going to have to undergo this process every single time. And these dehydrated olives, the pits come out super, super easily. Okay? So I'm just making a little incision. I'm getting in there, and we're taking the pits out. Okay? It's just, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Don't worry about the texture of the olive becoming a little destroyed or anything, because we're still just going to cook it down afterwards, okay? That's the opposite. I left the pit and I almost threw the flesh away. So we're squeezing it out one by one. Yes, it is awful. Also, hello, Alexis. Welcome in. I think you just joined, right? So be thorough. Do not get lazy with this. Absolutely do not, even if they're already pitted. Oftentimes, olives that come as pitted, they may still have pits inside of them. Okay? This is not the kind of pits that you want. There's plenty of good ones out there. This is not it. So, going through them one by one. It's a little bit tedious. I'm sure there's a faster way to do this. I'm sure there's like an olive pitting machine that you can employ. Okay? Oh, these olives are so good. I'm gonna... Man, these olives are amazing. These dehydrated olives that are in olive oil, amazing. Super yummy. They're like intense and salty and fatty and like really, really aromatic. I love these things. Come on, big boy. Okay. These are getting kind of annoying. Okay. Oh, Kuritsu, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Sometimes it's like the pit is welded to the olive. Yeah. Some of them, they come out easy. Some of them do not. Guys, that's just the nature of the olives. All right? Each one is different. Okay. How would you like it if somebody came in there and they took out like your skeleton? Right? That's what the olive is going through right now. I'm sure it doesn't feel too good. Also, hello, little Adrian. Welcome in. So we're going through all these olives one by one, my friends. Every single last one. Ugh. I don't think you would, Moonha. I don't think this would be the thing that you feel comfy from. I think of all the things, it would not be this one. Woof. It gets a little oily. It gets a little messy. It's olives, right? Ooh, this one is just stuck. That one's a little snack for me. Alrighty, Zia, thank you so much for stopping by. Also, ooh, really, really fun, and happy birthday. Green and black, which ones do I like more? Jack, there's a lot more varieties out there than just green and black. I like these dehydrated ones, those are some of my favorites. Otherwise, I really like, I believe they're called Castelvetranos. I think that's the kind. Really find those super tasty as well. Ugh. Come on, buddy, off you go. We're deep pitting all of these olives. This sucks. This is not a fun job. I wish they already came pitted for us. It's easier if you like crush them first and then like the pit comes out. But if like the olive is firm, then it does not want to crush. Okay. Almost done. We're just crushing them. Yeah, crushing them in my hands, I've realized is probably the easiest method to do something like this. Last 3 olives we got to go, okay? Sorry about how long this is taking. I really do apologize. Did not intend on this being the case. Ah! Okay, my friends, lovely. And now, inspect this one more time. Inspect this for any pits. Feel all of them. You do not want a single pit to go unpitted or unthrown away. And now I'm just going to take that glove off so I don't like oil up my knife or anything. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to roughly chop these. Right, just think about the size of the pieces that you want in your Ropa Vieja. Okay, these are just going to get added at the end. There's no right or wrong size to cut this. This is purely personal preference. I like them slightly on the smaller side so I can get them incorporated with everything. But I've seen people basically like leave them whole or leave them just halved. I like them slightly more chopped up. That is my preference entirely though. Okay, excellent. Guess what? We did all of the olives, my friends. We did it. Everybody, are you proud of me? Thank you, Natalie, for the applause. Okay, I'm just scraping up all of the olives. I'm getting them all off the cutting board. Excellent. Ropa Vieja means torn clothes, rabbit. Because that's what it looks like, right? The flank steak, like once it's like all shredded up, it looks like torn clothes. Okay, all these olives I'm gonna set aside behind me now. I'm gonna quickly wash off my knife because once again, this is a carbon steel knife. And then, my friends, we're going to make the tomato sauce for today. Okay? Just gonna wash my knife off really, really quickly. Just wash that off, get all the stuff off the blade, and I'm gonna wipe it down. Okay, lovely. Everybody following along so far? Really, really simple dish, guys. There's just like quite a bit of prep to do. And again, it's always nice to just get all the prep done in advance before you actually begin all like the hectic cooking portion. Okay? So, and now, my friends, it's time for us to begin the tomato sauce element. And that will be the final bit of the prep that we need to do, and then we can begin actually cooking down all of the vegetables. So, let's head over here. Let's head to the stove. And all I'm going to do really quickly is I'm just going to set up a plate. Right, that should be cooled down enough. It sure is. Perfect. Setting up a plate. And all I'm going to do really quickly, my friends, is I'm just going to get my blender ready. Where is my blender cup? Ah, perfect. So, over here, we're just going to throw in all of my little tomatoes. Again, they're not really softened. All we did is we just charred the outside and we cooled them off so that we're not blending anything hot because this is a closed blender. Okay? Lovely. That's all done. I'm gonna get my blender ready now. We're going to go ahead and fasten this nice and tight. Okay, and now we're going to get a lovely little tomato sauce. Nice and easy. Just puree all of these tomatoes, set my blender down, plug it on in. Okay, and away it goes. Give them up with little tomato sauce. Oh yeah. And I think that should be perfect. Again, you don't have to go like too crazy with this. We're not going to strain this out after anything, right? We just want to keep it nice and simple. Just some nice little pureed tomatoes, and that's it. Okay, everybody, we have finished the prep. It is now time to begin the next cooking portion of everything. Is everybody ready for this? Ooh, almost broke that plate. Is everybody ready? We're going to do a little recap session. We're going to plug my Patreon one more time, and then we're actually going to begin properly this time. So, we've done all the prep. In my pressure cooker, my flank steak is cooking with some chicken stock and my celery. We toasted some spices and we ground it up. We prepped the onions, we prepped the bell peppers, we prepped the garlic, and we made the tomato sauce, and we have some wine out, and now it's actually time to begin cooking the Ropa Vieja itself. I'm going to be preheating my Dutch oven. Right? It still has some oil in it. We can oil this more if we would like to. And remember, my friends, when we seared, when we seared the flank steak in the Dutch oven. Also, oh no, that's totally okay. Have a good luck with your homework check. We seared the flank steak in this Dutch oven, and that is the same exact vessel that we'll be doing the rest of the Ropa Vieja in, okay? And the reason for that is because we're keeping all the fond in the pot, right? We want to get all those little dissolved and burnt protein bits to be inside of the actual final stew, inside of the final Ropa Vieja itself. It's going to give the whole thing a little bit more oomph. It's going to give the whole thing a little bit more meatiness, okay? So we're heating it up once again, medium heat. It still has some oil in it. I'm looking at how much oil it has. And I'm feeling like it could use a little bit more peanut oil. And again, we're using like this neutral oil just to be able to cook everything in. And all of it is still going to go into the final dish, so you don't want to go like too crazy with the oil. I just want to be able to comfortably saute my vegetables in this, okay? Comfortably. We're getting that oil nice and hot, my friends, okay? But not too hot that we start beginning to burn the fond. And the order of operations is this. First, we're going to do the onions. Then we're going to throw in the garlic. Then we're going to throw in the bell peppers, because the bell peppers won't really get that much color on it because of how wet they are. We're just going to soften it a little bit. We just want to get some color on the onions if possible. We're going to throw in the spices. We're going to deglaze it with the wine, deglaze it with the tomatoes, and add in the chicken stock. Is the pan really heavy? Yes, it is, Rabbit. That is a big hulking thing of cast iron. And all while this is happening, at the moment, I have my flank steak in the pressure cooker. Has about 6 minutes left on it, which means we've timed everything really well. Okay? We've timed everything super, super well. And now, one more thing that we are going to do really quickly. So actually, I don't think I want to heat up that pan too much longer, because it does have already like all that fond on the bottom and stuff, and I don't want to like scorch it, right? Like all of this really, really good stuff. And so, as it is right now, even if the pan's not fully heated, I think I'm going to add my onions in now, because I want the onions to be able to pick up some of that fond, okay? I want to be able to basically use all of the onion liquid that's already inside. I want them to be able to stick to all those little bits on the bottom. And then we're going to get some nice color on these onions after it does that, okay? And again, we're just paying attention to the bottom of the pan. So, last thing that we have to do is some cilantro. I forgot about the cilantro. This is just going to be a nice little garnish at the end. That's just going to go on top of the Ropa Vieja. A little bit of cilantro. Perfect. And all I'm going to do, my friends, is just, I'm going to pick it off the leaves, and we're going to slice it up a little bit. And that's all it's going to take. And again, we're just stirring up the onions. We're making sure that nothing is sticking too much to the bottom. And if it is, we'll have to add like a little splash of water and just keep things going that way. But at the moment, everything looks pretty good. The onions have picked up the fond really nicely, and it really smells like super, super beefy. Okay, so anybody have any questions so far? Cilantro. I'm going to pick it off the big stem because I don't like the texture of the big stem. You guys have heard me do that rant a million times. Okay? Purely for textural reasons. Going through it all one by one. Just picking it off, and then we're going to go in with a knife and just slice it up a little teeny tiny bit. And this is purely for garnishing reasons. Yeah, the cilantro is already at its end. It's been in the fridge. It's done a really good job keeping nice and fresh. And now all we're going to do, my friends, we're going to just bundle it up in our hands. We're going to pick it up, we're going to bundle it up, and we're going to slice it up nice and thin and set it aside. Okay? Keepers, that's a good question. I wouldn't be able to answer it. I don't think I'm qualified. Haven't had one in a very long time. So all we're doing, we're just slicing it up. We're not chopping, we're not bruising, we're not crushing, we're not destroying the cilantro. We're just bundling it up and slicing it nice and thin. Okay? Give a little rotation. Excellent. And that's it. Not too crazy. This is just purely for garnishing reasons. This is just to put it on top at the end after. Give the whole thing a nice little hit of freshness. Okay? Scrape it all up. And that is all of the prep that we needed to do for today, my friends. That's it. Next thing we're going to do, the beef is about to be ready. We're going to take it. We're going to shred it up nicely. Let's head to the stove and keep an eye on those onions, shall we? So look at the onions. They're going. They're getting some color. We just don't want the bottom of the pan to get too dark or anything. And once we feel like it is, we'll hit it with some water, and it'll all be okay. Okay? Lovely. Just scraping up the bottom and incorporating it. And that's why we use a wooden spoon. If you were to use a metal spoon, you'd be scratching the hell out of your lovely little Dutch oven. Okay? So, a little bit of salt. Just to help keep the whole thing nice and seasoned as we go. Because remember, the broth is unseasoned. We're going to have a bunch of bell peppers going into all of this as well. You want to make sure that you have enough salt to really carry you through this. We're just developing a little bit of color. We're slightly softening the onions. And then we're going to do the garlic. Then we're going to do the bell peppers and the spices, the tomato paste, and the wine. Okay? And by that point, the flank steak is going to be ready. It's going to be ready in just a few minutes, in fact. And again, I'm just cleaning as I go, just to make sure that my kitchen's not going to be a huge mess after all of this. Excellent. Keeping it going, my friends, and a little bit longer on the onions. Again, we're not looking for like super deep caramelized onions. We're just looking to get a little bit of color on it, a little bit of extra flavor. Okay? Really good stuff. The flank steak has about a minute left on it. And the thing that we'll do is we'll just take it out. We'll go ahead and shred it up. It's going to be lovely. Yes. Oh, I love Ropa Vieja. You absolutely should, everybody. I think it is the epitome of home food. It's super delicious, and you're going to really show off that texture of the shredded flank steak. It's incredible. You absolutely should, Chris. Also, welcome in. So, keeping it going, keeping it cooking. Also, I guess I didn't plug my Patreon. Now would be a good time to do it, but I feel like my Instant Pot is about to interrupt me, but that's okay. Everybody, if you can, please help support the stream. Please help the grocery. My Instant Pot did indeed interrupt me. Okay, great. Everybody, if you can, exclamation mark Patreon in chat. Or scroll down, go into the About section to really help with the grocery costs because the cooking streams are expensive. If you can, and if not, that's totally okay too. I want to keep the streams free for everybody to watch. That's it. That's my whole rant. So, my pressure cooker is done. I'm releasing the pressure immediately. Okay? And now we're just paying attention to the onions because look how dark the bottom of that pan is getting. We don't want to push that too much further. We don't want to push that further. We're going to add in the garlic. We're adding in the garlic. And now we don't want to cook the garlic for too long because otherwise it will scorch. We don't want the taste of burnt garlic. So we're just cooking this for about 30 seconds. And any good dish, any good recipe, my friends, any good technique starts with fried onions and garlic. You just can't go wrong. So we're just stirring it up. We're getting it done. Really beautifully fried. Okay, just for a few more seconds. And then we're adding in all of these bell peppers. Because the bell peppers are wet, they're not going to get too much color. They're just going to release some water that's going to help scrape everything else up with. Okay? And we can even do a little splash of water in a second to help out. We're adding in the spices. We're adding in the pimento. We're adding in the cumin. We're adding in the black pepper. We're adding in the oregano. And we're letting all of that just fry together for just a moment. And now things are moving fast, my friends. Things are moving fast. That's going. We're adding in a little squeeze of tomato paste. Come on, in you go. A little bit, because I don't want tomato to be overpowering in this dish. Just move it around, scrape it around. Make sure the spices aren't burning for too long. Okay. The bottom of the pan is getting a little bit dark. I don't want my spices to scorch. This is where we deglaze with the red wine. Everything is moving fast now. Deglaze with the red wine, about half a cup in total, but I'm not really measuring. And the red wine is essential here. It's not just for flavor, it's the function of the thing. Okay? We're using it to get all those little bits, what is called deglazing, my friends. All those little bits of like dissolved proteins and sugars, we're getting it back incorporated into the rest of the dish. Just by scraping it all up. We're just scraping all of it up together. Lovely. Excellent. Smells wonderful. Smells like wine. Smells like all the spices that we just added. Smells like the garlic. Smells like the onion. Everybody following along so far? I know we've just done a lot. We've done a lot really, really quickly. Okay? And now we're just going to reduce it a little bit. We're going to evaporate some of the excess liquid from it. Okay? And we're going to add in the tomatoes in just a second. Things are happening fast. Things are moving fast. Things are developing fast. But look at my beautiful Ropa Vieja that's developing here. Still without the meat, still without the broth, and still without the tomatoes. But this is just the bell peppers. This is the wine. This is all the spices together in harmony, in unison. Okay? Lovely. And now we're going to dump in this lovely thing of pureed tomatoes that we made, the charred, smoky, delicious tomatoes. In it all goes. Ah, excellent. And we're just adding it in, we're incorporating it. And now we're going to just let this cook, my friends. We're going to let this cook uncovered because the goal is to get rid of as much liquid here as possible, to get the tomatoes a little bit developed, to get the bell peppers softened, to get the onions softened. Lovely. Look at that. Okay. All while this is happening. So this is just going to cook now. Okay? We're letting this cook uncovered. We want this to boil away a little bit. We're going to add in the chicken stock separately. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that now, my friends. So, what would be a good place to show that off? I think I'm just going to do that directly on the cutting board. I'm going to show you all my beautiful flank steak. Okay, my friends, I want you all to take a look. I want you all to take a really good look here. This is the flank steak that's been beautifully braised. It's been beautifully shredded, or not quite yet shredded. It's about to be shredded. And this is where you can really see the texture and the soul of the flank steak come to life. The really special thing about it, my friends, is because you can see these grains. You can see these grains. You can see the way that it just wants to fall apart. It just wants to pull apart. Beautiful, isn't it? You're getting these incredible shreds of this super chewy, the super, this really delicious flank steak. Look at that. It's just falling apart, my friends. But it has this really pleasant tootsomeness. So don't listen to anybody that tells you you can't braise lean meat, that tells you you have to use chuck, that you have to use brisket all the time. It's nonsense. It's completely nonsensical. Somebody just said it once, and everybody else went along with it. Look how easy it is just to shred this. Look how easy it is for all of this to just beautifully come apart. Look at that. Who says that you have to use chuck for everything here? Nobody. That's right. What do you think of pot roasters with an eye around? It's not necessarily a bad texture at all. Look at that. These big, beautiful strands. Now, I don't want to shred this too fine. I want some thick pieces like this. So we're not shredding this completely down. We're just helping it to break apart a little bit. We're opening up the texture of it so that it can then easily take on that sauce later on. Okay? Look at that. Look at it go. Look at it go. Excellent. The stock is boiling. The rest of the stew is boiling. We're reducing the liquid. We're going to soften the vegetables. We're going to reduce the stock slightly. We're going to cook it all down, and it's going to be incredible. I love Ropa Vieja, my friends. I really do. It's one of my favorite dishes. Look at this. Look at the texture of this. And this is why it's called Ropa Vieja. That's why it's called like torn clothes. Right? Look at the texture of all of this beef. Super shredded. And that's why you keep this nice and long. You get this really incredible pulled pork-like texture. Yep, it helps soften them down, but you can also do this with lean meats. Flank steak isn't necessarily the most tender piece of meat as well. Right? So it does lend itself quite well to this. Ah. Look at that texture. Look at that. Perfect. That's good. And now I'm just going to give this a nice little stir, just to make sure nothing is burning on the bottom. And everybody, that was the majority, if not all, of the active work. That was all of the active work. Now, this meat is not particularly seasoned too well because it's just been braised. But look at the texture of it. Look at the texture of all the shredded beef. It's going to pick up the sauce. It's going to pick up the stew. It's going to be wonderful together. Okay? It's all going to be super, super delicious together, I promise you. So we're just softening the bell peppers. We're getting them really nice and tender. We're softening up the onions. We're cooking down the tomatoes. We're getting rid of the raw taste. We're incorporating and infusing the whole thing with spices. It's all coming together. All the prep work is already done. And in a separate pot, I currently have also going my stock just to help reduce and concentrate that down a little bit. We're not going to need that much stock. I'm just going to ladle some in. I don't think I'm going to use all the stock for this today. Let's see how much I want to use. Let's go to the stove really quickly, my friends. Okay, so this is currently going. This is just like the tomatoes and stuff. The only thing I want to do here now, right, before this gets like too dry on the bottom and everything starts scorching, we're going to ladle in some of the stock until we get as much liquid as we really want here. I'm not going to use that entire pot of stock. We'll just use it live, right? And the stock, I'm then going to reincorporate into something else later on. It's infused with the beef, it's infused with the chicken, it's infused with some celery. It's a really, really delicious stock, okay? 3 ladles, 4 ladles, maybe like 5, 6 ladles total is what I'm feeling like for this. And I like my Ropa Vieja nice and thick. This is not traditional. Typically, you would braise your flank steak in a separate pan completely, okay? And then you would combine it all later and you'd kind of like waste that stock. This is a little bit more of a modern approach to it, where you would have everything all in one pot, super roasted, super deep flavors, whereas I feel like Ropa Vieja traditionally is a lot more delicate in nature. Okay, excellent. It's all coming together, my friends. The bell peppers, the onions, the stock as well. We're going to do 1 more ladle of stock, I think. And that will be perfect, and the rest of it I'm going to save for use in another dish. And anytime we need to thin this out, we can always add in some more stock. Look at it go. Look at it. Smells wonderful. And the only thing right now you need to keep in mind, it is still a little bit undersalted. Because the only salt that was in here was from the onions, and our chicken stock that we made was unsalted. So we have to compensate a little bit, but at the end, when we taste it all together, then we'll see. So a little bit of salt going in now. We can always adjust it later on, my friends. Beautiful. Oh, I forgot to do rice. It's too late. I actually don't think I have the time for it. Oh no. I forgot to do rice for this. It's a bit of a tragedy. Oh well, it'll be fun. My friends, this is the final stages of the Ropa Vieja. That's all that it is. The beef is beautifully shredded. Okay, take a look at it once again. We have all this beautiful beef. We don't really want to overcook this beef. We like dry it out any further. So we're just going to add this towards the end. And once this is like softened, once the vegetables are all softened, we're going to finish it with the olives. We're going to finish it with the beef. We're going to plate it up, put it into a nice little bowl, and put some lovely fresh cilantro on it. Delicious. Really, really incredible stuff. Yes, this is my take on the Cuban version of Ropa Vieja. So all the ingredients are fairly traditional. I've just changed up some of the techniques. I've changed up the way that we do the tomatoes. I've changed up the, some of the cook on it. I changed up some of the chili that I did. I do indeed cook also. Hello, hello. That's all I do. I just do cooking streams. So everybody, this is a good time to ask me any questions because the stream is now slowing down a little bit. The stream is now slowing down. Any and all questions will be really, really appreciated. Sub rice for bread. I don't have any bread at home either. Yeah, I realize we don't have enough time to do some more rice. Today's going to be a fairly short stream, but that's okay. I'm going to just put a couple of things away in the meantime, making sure that my kitchen is staying nice and clean and organized whenever I can. Love your commentary, lol. Have a good stream. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like people don't really get to say that to me anymore. I feel like a lot of people now just kind of know me through the cooking streams. So it's a very nice little change of pace. Oh, guys, I love Ropa Vieja. All we want to do is just really get those bell peppers tender, right? Because we don't want them to be like too toothsome. We don't want them to be too chewy. We want them to be nice and soft, nice and creamy. We want to cook down the tomatoes, make sure it's not too acidic in there. Oh, that is good. That is super, super good. Wow. Okay. Just washing a few things off, putting some other things away, making my life for later on a little bit easier. I know you for your Twitter. Yeah, people say that to me. People say that to me quite often as well. That does also just happen. Okay. And this is just going, my friends. This is just going. In total, I think this is going to be like 5 to 10 minutes. You can, of course, cook this and braise this as long as you would like. All I really care about right now is just getting the texture of the vegetables that I'm really, really looking for. Also, welcome in, Lisa. Hope you're having a good day today. It is yummy. And this is still before the addition of all the beef inside. Okay? So everybody, little recap on everything that's happened thus far. Everything that's happened. We made a homemade chicken stock. We took a bunch of flank steak. We seared it off. And then we braised it in the chicken stock, and then we shredded it up really, really nicely. Delicious. I love Ropa Vieja. It uses flank steak. Flank steak is not just to cook like a steak. It can be used for things like this too. Lean meat can braise, my friends. Okay? Then, in all of the fond, in the pot, in all the residual oil, I cooked up some onions. I cooked up some garlic. I cooked up some bell peppers. I made freshly toasted cumin and black pepper, and I ground it up with some oregano and some pimento, aka allspice. I threw that in. I deglazed the whole thing with some red wine. We added in some tomato paste, not too much. We charred some tomatoes, blended it down to make a really, really delicious sauce, and then we threw that in as well. And now we're letting all of this just come together. We're letting all of it really, really beautifully soften with the garlic, with the onions. It's incredibly aromatic, and as well as the chicken stock that the flank steak braised in. We just want to get the bell peppers to be really, really soft. We want the onions to get really, really soft and delicious. Okay? Yes, I did. I've been cooking for a very long time. I've been cooking since I was about 7. So I am indeed entirely self-taught. I'm just putting some things away. I'm keeping clean as I am going, my friends. But yeah, Ropa Vieja is one of my favorite dishes. I love Cuban food to death. Okay? I really, really do love it. It's really special to me. I can't get enough of it. In fact, there's not like that much Cuban food in New York. I just miss like the Cuban food in Florida more than anything, I suppose. Well, I'm glad, Fabio. I love Ropa Vieja. And I'm doing mine a little, it's not entirely traditional, but the way that I'm doing it is also really, really lovely. It's really delicious. Oh. And again, we're going to finish the whole thing with some olives still. We're going to finish it with the olives, we're going to finish it with the beef, we're going to finish it with cilantro, and it's going to be really lovely when it all comes together. And I just can't wait for the final product. Okay, that goes in my dishwasher. All of this goes in my dishwasher, and I'm wiping down the bench. What are my thoughts on Ethiopian food? I love Ethiopian food trash can. I really, really adore Ethiopian food. It's one of my favorite things to go out to with people because I feel like a lot of people I know don't really eat Ethiopian food. And I just love showing them around New York City. And there's like a couple of really nice ones in New York. There's Buna Cafe, and there's another one I believe in like Soho or so. Hi, Kaze. Hope you had a good flight. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by immediately after flying. Yes, I love Ethiopian food. It is the communal eating aspect. It is the idea of sitting down and sharing, and I love variety. Whenever I go out to eat, I love insisting on, I don't like getting individual plates. I love just sharing a bunch of dishes. And Ethiopian food is kind of designed for that. You get like 8 or 9 different dishes, and you eat it all together on top of the injera. It is incredible stuff. Love it to death. And not enough people have eaten Ethiopian food before. It's so good. And it's almost entirely vegan too. The lentil dishes, the beans dishes, the chickpea dishes. It is incredible stuff. Okay, we're just continuing to soften up the bell peppers. The stew's getting nice and thick. If it gets too thick, right, it's not traditional for it to be like really, really thick or anything. You know, you would just like thin it out. I have some more chicken stock. You can also just use some water as you see fit. But again, this is not a very traditional Ropa Vieja. I like it a little bit more in that like sort of like thick realm of things. I like it nice and glossy. I like it to have some viscosity. I like it to be saucy, not like brothy. Okay? Oh, that is so good. My friends, the pimento, that little bit of pimento really, really comes through. You're getting the acidity of the wine. You're getting the acidity of the tomatoes. Added raisins. I don't think I've actually ever had a Ropa Vieja with raisins before. And you're gonna get like this really delicious, like salty bite, like the salty punch to the face when we add in the olives. It's gonna be really tasty. Whoa, that's good. Oh, Natalie, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be so good. Don't think it was Cuban? I see. Do other cultures also make Ropa Vieja? I thought it was mostly just a Cuban thing. So a little bit of salt. Remember, the olives are going to add a nice saltiness, but we're about to add like a bunch of beef that isn't super salty or anything. So we want to compensate for that. Adding it back in, my friends. Adding it in. And we're just going to cook this for a few more minutes. Until you feel like it is right. Until you feel like it's exactly where you want it to be. I'm going to taste the texture in one of these bell peppers, but I can already tell you with like how firm it is. It's not cooked enough for me. I'm built different. I can just take a boiling red pepper out of a boiling pot. And be completely fine. I'm different. Do I have a favorite cookbook? Not particularly, because I don't really read cookbooks like that, Slibby. I do not. In fact, I detest most cookbooks because most cookbooks are just this mass-produced content by cookbook writers where they just give you a lot of mediocre recipes. Also, Grow, hello, welcome on in. I don't love a lot of cookbooks. There's a couple of them that I really like that are theory books, but like, I don't know, like the Food Lab is the one that everybody references and talks about all the time. But generally speaking, I don't reference any cookbooks. I do not like them, and I do not like what they stand for. They're just mass-produced. They're not interesting. They don't have an interesting perspective on food, I feel. Okay. So yeah, that bell pepper that I just bit into has a little bit of crunch. I'm sorry for like mistiming things. I'm sorry that I don't have that much more things to really show off at the moment. I just want to get the bell pepper nice and soft. What inspired you to cook and get better then? Really good question. It was out of spite and out of also special interest. So I grew up watching a lot of Food Network. I got very tired of eating Russian food at home because I'm Russian. That's what my grandparents would make. I got very annoyed with it. I got very tired of it. And so I was like, okay, I want all these other things. And I just had a fascination with everything that I watched and grew up watching on TV. And thus, I taught myself how to cook from then on. But it was also just a complete and total special interest of mine, even past like the spite element of it. It was like everything that I would watch, and it is everything I do watch now. I consume and critique a ridiculous amount of food content on the regular. I do a lot of hate watching of just like YouTube cooking shows I don't like. It's good. It's actually maybe not great. It's not very productive use of my time anymore, but I still do love doing it. Okay. So the Ropa Vieja is almost done, my friends. A little bit longer. Please be nice and patient with me through this process. Oh, really, really delicious. And we're just gonna add the beef back in just to reheat it, just to get it to basically absorb in all of its little crevices. Any YouTube cooking shows I enjoy? Yes, I do. That beef is awesome. So yes, there's actually quite a few YouTube cooking shows I enjoy. My favorite, Chinese Cooking Demystified. I love Chinese Cooking Demystified because it gives you this really, really unique, really special historical perspective on regional dishes that you would otherwise not hear about. And they tell you a lot about like home substitutions and what this ingredient is. And it really does help to demystify Chinese cooking because it's so complex, it's so vast. Everybody talks about the regionality of Italian cooking, but I have to say that has nothing on Chinese cooking. Because of the ridiculous geography and the history and the borders of China, you can go a few miles in any direction and you'll have completely different cuisines and completely different standards. And so Chinese Cooking Demystified goes through a lot of the regions, goes through a lot of the ingredients that are used, and talks about, hey, this is what this is, and this is what this essentially is and can be replaced with, because you can't really find this outside of China. So I love Chinese Cooking Demystified. Yeah, keepers. Not gonna do that anymore though. Have I tried velveting chicken or beef? Yes, I have, and it's incredible. Here's my tip. Pass it through water or pass it through oil. This is the one thing that people kind of forget about. Velveting chicken or beef is not just about like, you know, the America's test kitchen way is to do it with some baking soda and then you wash it off and then you fry it. I don't like that method. I do it the classic way with the egg whites because the egg whites are alkaline enough to actually velvet it. And so I like to velvet it with that and then pass it through water, pass it through oil. Because when you're actually stir-frying velveted pieces of meat, you're not really stir-frying the meat as much as you're kind of stir-frying the coating on the outside. You have to build up that coating. If you just velvet meat and you put it directly into a hot pan, that coating is going to get really gummy, it's going to get really strange, and it's going to get stuck to the bottom of the pan. So you pass it through oil, you pass it through water, look it up, and you basically like get the meat to be firm enough that you can stir-fry it. Okay? So once again, while we're doing this, we're just scraping up the sides. We're scraping up the bottom. We're making sure that we have no stuck or burnt bits, my friends. We're getting all that flavor back inside, back incorporated through the whole thing. We're stewing the onions. It's making the whole thing nice and sweet. We're getting the red peppers to be really, really soft and delicious. Okay? As soft as you want to go, my friends. You can do this for a few hours. You can even do this for as short as the amount of time that I'm doing it now. Really delicious. The cumin comes through, the pimento comes through. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. In the meantime, I guess we'll just get the plate ready for this. I'm gonna set up 2 bowls of this stuff. I like just setting up a nice little coaster for things like this. And then 2 nice little bowls, my friends. And again, traditionally you would have this with some rice and beans, but guess what I neglected to do? I neglected to make rice, and I don't feel good having beans without the rice. Okay? And all we're gonna do, my friends, we're just gonna scoop it out. Once it's ready to go, we're just gonna scoop it out, and we're going to garnish it with some cilantro, and it's going to be perfect. Okay? So, let's head back to this. Just wanna get my plating ready. So, the bell peppers and everything, it's all hit a point where I feel comfortable proceeding with the rest of it. So, olives. These, once again, are the black dehydrated Turkish olives. Traditionally, you would use like pimento stuffed olives or any other kind of olive. I like to interchange the olives. I think it'll be good no matter what. We're gonna let this cook down in there for just a little bit. It's going to give the whole thing a very nice salty bite. It's super pleasant to bite into these. I don't like cutting them too big, because if you cut them in too big, you don't really get to have everything on like the same spoonful. I see people do like halved olives. I like slightly more finely done olives. So, tap it all in. Okay, we're in the final stages. We're adding in these beautiful olives, okay? All going in now. Excellent. And now, my friends, my 1.5 pounds, or maybe slightly less because I've been snacking on it, this lovely braised flank steak that's been shredded. And now, in all those little pockets, that's the beauty of this flank steak. The way that it shreds up, you see all those shreds, you see all those crevices, it's gonna get filled up with the Ropa Vieja. So, Dr. Slowbro, you say, so I'm gonna give you a very annoying answer right now. So you said your girlfriend doesn't like olives, and you've asked me for a replacement for it. Okay? I'm gonna give you a very annoying answer right now. I trust people's personal preferences. I think that most people who hate olives associate it with like the black canned olives that they would get sliced up on a pizza and be like, this sucks because it's so bitter. And understandably so, if that's your experience with olives, then you're going to dislike them. I don't know your girlfriend's experience with olives. I'm making a huge assumption. I'm usually correct about my assumptions. If that's the case, I think she needs to try a variety of different olives. She needs to try a variety of different olives. Castelvetranos are very nice to get into. The dehydrated Turkish ones I talked about. Go find a place with an olive bar. Okay? Go find a place like a Turkish store, like a Mediterranean store, or like an Eastern European store. They have lovely olive bars. Try some of the ones that they have. And see if there's an olive that she likes. Because they're all so different. They're all processed a little bit differently. I hate those canned olives. Otherwise, don't include olives, don't do anything. There's no real substitute for them. Just don't include it. If she really truly doesn't like olives. But I'm making a bit of an annoying assumption that I just feel like, I really just truly feel like, most people who eat olives, they just associate it with one type of olive. Okay. Oh, that's pretty fascinating. I didn't know that was the case at all. Okay, we're just stirring in the beef, my friends. And again, the beef, it's essentially in all of those little crevices. It's the same idea with the shredded chicken. The beauty is that it doesn't really soak it up, but it creates all of these little holes for the rest of the cooking liquid to fill up in. And I like doing mine really nice and thick. So traditionally, Ropa Vieja would be a lot lighter. It would be done in like sort of like a broth and not like this saucy of a consistency or anything. But I like to do mine thick, okay? Okay, my friends, we're just letting it go. We're keeping those shreds as whole as we can. We don't want it to completely tear up or anything, okay? And then we're just gonna give that a minute. We're getting a minute for the olives to soften, to impart some of the flavors into the rest of this. We're letting some of the actual cooking liquid penetrate the Ropa Vieja. It smells incredible. And we're also going to taste this for the seasoning. We just added in a bunch of olives. We added in the beef. The seasoning changed. Oh, Natalie, you're going to love that. Natalie, you're going to love that. That is so good. You have no idea. We're going to do a little bit more salt. A little bit, just to give it some more oomph. Just to send it over the top, my friends. You're getting the acidity of the wine. You're getting the acidity of the tomato. The sweetness of the onions. The sweetness of the peppers. It's meaty, it's salty, it's got a little bit of just like, not like spice in like a heat way, but you're just getting the spice of the pimento, the flavor of it, the earthiness of the cumin, my friends. This is an incredibly special Ropa Vieja. I love Ropa Vieja, and we made it so easy too, so simple. I would eat this with like a spoon and a fork, so I'm just getting those ready now. All right, what do you think, my friends? Is it time to plate? Is it time to plate, everybody? Yes. Well, Samad, I think cookbooks are a problem innately because of just the publishing industry as a problem overall. The cookbooks are designed for profit, and they're designed in a way that you can always keep pumping out more and more of them. They're not theory, they're not effort, because people need to profit off of the sale of every single book. Cookbooks are just a fundamentally flawed format when they're done for profit. Any sort of book is. Okay? I think it's time to plate, my friends. I think it's time. I think it's gamer time. Okay, we're just scraping up the pot one last time. We're just getting everything else back inside. We're gonna shut off that heat. Oh, perfect. Okay, And now, my friends, it's time to plate up. You ready for this? Let's do this. I'm gonna grab a little ladle. I'm gonna grab my bowls one by one. We're going to fill it up with the Ropa Vieja. Excellent. And you gotta have some of the cooking liquid. The cooking liquid is the best part of the whole dish. Okay? Look at this bad boy. Oh, you want that. You wish this was you right now. Okay, next one. Lovely. And now, my friends, one last little final touch. You want one last little final touch in this, okay? Which is going to be a nice big hit of cilantro. Just gonna set that aside. Nice big hit of cilantro, just on the top. Okay, excellent. My friends, this is my Ropa Vieja. Let's do one last recap. We had some flank steak. We seared it in a Dutch oven. We took it out and then we pressure cooked it alongside some chicken stock and alongside some celery. We got it really nice and tender. You can braise lean meat. You can braise lean meat and you should. The texture is so toothsome, it is so lovely. Okay? Next, we had some onions. We fried it in the Dutch oven. We had some garlic. We fried it in the Dutch oven. We had some bell peppers. We fried in the Dutch oven. We made a spice blend. Pimento, aka allspice, cumin, black pepper, oregano. We ground it up. We fried those spices. We deglazed it with some tomato paste. We deglazed it with some red wine. Okay, got all the stuck bits off the bottom of the Dutch oven and into the whole dish. Okay, and then we added in some charred blended tomatoes. We charred some tomatoes, some plum tomatoes. We blended it. We added it in. We let the whole thing cook. We took the beef. We shredded it up. We added in the chicken stock, and then we finished it with some of the beef, of course. We finished it with some of these like dehydrated, dried Turkish olives, reconstituted in olive oil. And then we finished off the top of it with some cilantro, my friends. We have this beautiful broth, really sweet, delicious bell peppers and onions, this meaty, 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 salty broth, little salty bits of the olives, and then the tender yet toothsome meat. Everybody, let's have a little sip. Let's have a little taste. Cheers, huh? I'm gonna just try the broth itself. Look how saucy that is. Not traditional for it to be this viscous, but that's how I like my Ropa Vieja. It's so good. Everybody, you should be making a Ropa Vieja. You should. You absolutely should. That is lovely. It is acidic, it is meaty, it is brothy. It's got some oomph to it. Oh, and look at the beef. Look at the beef. Beautifully shredded. Let's have that with some of the broth. Let's have it with some of the broth. That is so good. Okay, Natalie, you want to try some? You want to come over here and try some? This is for you, Natalie. Have a little spoon. Have a little spoon of that. Wait, it's actually really hot. You will burn yourself. So have a little bit of the broth. Just try that. The broth isn't too hot, especially from the sides. Give a little taste of that.
Oh, that's really rich.
Right? That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, you can really taste the olive in there too.
Yeah, that little bit of olive, it just adds a little bit more oomph to the whole thing. It's great. Have some of the beef. Have some of the beef. Okay, you know what? I'm actually going to take out the beef. I'm going to cool it for you because unlike me, she can't bite into boiling hot things and be fine with it. I'm different, okay? I'm cooler than her. Sorry. I have more Twitter followers than you. I'm cooler. Okay, Natalie, come in. It's hot. Actually, we're going to give it a second to cool off. In fact, I'm being very sweet to you right now, aren't I? I'm cooling this off for a second. Giving that a second.
Chill.
Let it do its thing. That you can see that it is steaming because yeah. Ooh, you're gonna burn yourself on this. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be really unpleasant. So we're just giving this a second. It'll be fine. Go slowly. Okay. It's boiling hot, isn't it?
Oh, it's so hot.
Oh, I just burnt your mouth. I'm so sorry. I thought it would have cooled off by now.
Oh, that's really good.
I'm so sorry.
That's really hot. That's really good.
Yeah, okay, have some water. I apologize sincerely. I did not mean to do that to you. I thought it would have cooled off by now. I did not gauge that correctly.
That's actually really good.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, that whole bowl is going to be free in just a moment, but let me go ahead and sign off first. Okay, I apologize. I did not mean to do that to you. Okay, great.
A little olive in there.
A little bit of olive is excellent. Okay, everybody. That's the Ropa Vieja. I hope you all enjoyed. If anybody has any final questions, now is going to be the best time to possibly ask me. Let's go ahead and find somebody for us to raid. Let's see who is currently live on Twitch at the moment. Anybody has any final questions? No, I'm not going to eat it all on stream. Not at all. I'm going to eat this off stream. I'm going to enjoy myself. How do you garbage meat from good meat from the grocery store, keepers? That's a big question. It's dependent on the cut. That's a little too big at the moment for me to be able to confidently answer right now. Who else is streaming? Let's go ahead and raid Rose. That's what we'll do. Lovely. Okay. No. We just take a little bite and then we sign off. I don't eat on stream too much anymore. Do I work as a cook IRL? Asks Sluby. Not at all. I'm not a professional chef at all. I'm just purely personally trained. Okay. Everybody, thank you all for being here. Once again, please support the Patreon if you can. Exclamation mark Patreon in chat. Scroll down to the About section. You know, it'd be really, really appreciated. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to see you all Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time next stream. Follow my Discord, follow my Twitter, just to keep updated with the times and everything if anything changes. It's lovely to have all of you here as always. And let's go ahead and raid Rose for today. Thank you all. Have a lovely rest of your Sundays. Have a really good day. Thank you all for being here.